Vayishma Yisroel Chayhein Midyon Chaysein Moshe Kol Asher Asa Elohim LaMoshe ULiYisrael Amoy Ki Yetzi Adonai Es Yisrael MiMitzrayim Vayikach Yisroel Chaysein Moshe Es Tziporo Eshes Moshe Achar Shilochaha Ve'es Shnei Banaho Asher Shem Achad Gershaim Ki Amar Ger Hayisi Ve'eretz Nochriyo Shem Achad Eliezer Ki Elehei Avi Be'ezri Vayati Leini Mecharav Paro.
Okay, of course I don't understand a single word. The title here is 13-year-old Jewish boy reads from Torah. Okay, watching this, my question is, because this is him reciting the text in a certain recitation style, if you can use that word. So I'm curious as to, is it a thing in the Torah? Meaning, is recitation a thing? Of course, as a Muslim, Quran is essentially a recitation, because it comes down in terms of recitation. It doesn't come down in terms of writing text, right? It comes down in terms of the recitation, and there's a way of recitation, right? So you have the, when you call tajweed, right? So the harakat, etc., right? So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So that's why this become longer, this shorter, etc., right? So that it's embedded system of reciting, and that creates the melody. So I'm not saying, so yeah, so when we have a full experience of reciting, the melody and intonation and the understanding, it creates a complete, normally I would make an analogy of a movie, right? You know what's going on, the episode, the visual, that's the soundtrack, and you're understanding the dialogue, for example, right? So there's three factors comes together, and it triggers some emotion. So when you understand what you read, you're reciting it properly, it gives that intonation and the melody, it becomes a powerful emotional experience. So that's what we get from the Quran, and from my perspective, Allah made it so, meaning that that's why it is being recited in a certain way that triggers those embedded melodies, etc., right? Of course, for those who do not or who's new about just start reading from Iqra, etc., right? So the melody, etc., is still all over the place. You do not get the full experience yet, but when you get to a level of competency, you get that, right? So, but my point is that is embedded, meaning that there's a way. It is different, right? Because from Quran and Hadith, both, especially when talking about Hadith of the sayings of Prophet Muhammad SAW, because Hadith, they are report of the action and the report of the sayings. So I'm talking about the sayings, right? So when Rasulullah SAW relay the Quran, there's a way to recite. Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq, khalaqal insana min alaq, right? For example, that's the first revelation portion of it. There's also a hadith that comes from the same mouth, but we do not need to recite it in a certain way. For example, innamal a'malu binniyat wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa. We do not need to recite it as such, right? So normally we just say innamal a'malu binniyat wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa. So because it's just the point, there's no recitation melody, right? But for the Quran, there's a melody behind it. So again, that's about the Quran. What about the Torah? Because this kid this boy is reciting it in a certain way. Is that embedded, or is just there's no way of the harakat, the tajweed? It's just you recite it and you make your own melody as you go on. I'm not sure. So that's my question for those who know. Now, because the original language, because this is in Hebrew, I think, right? Is it in Hebrew or Aramaic? I'm not sure. I'm assuming Hebrew. So those are the language where you have those similar elements, right? Hence, when you recite it that way. Of course, translation, right? When you say the whole Bible, there's a lot of translation. So it doesn't make sense to have a certain way of reciting of translation, because translation already have different words, etc. Right? Same with Quran. Right? If you go to the translation, there's no such thing as recitation style of the translation, because the translation is already using the different words. So the different translation already, but the original text is standard, right? All the same. So I assume this is an original language. So if you have English Bible, etc., there's no discussion about recitation. But again, sorry for going around and around. Is there such a thing as a recitation style of the Torah? Because I have never heard of it before. This is the first time I see someone recited it in a certain way. Is that how it is needed to be recited, or is just, there's no standardized way of it, just he feel it and he just whatever comes out? Curious to know. Thank you for watching. See you next time.